Well, Broncos country, what is poppin', man? It's your boy Mark here with Marky Sports. Is the Broncos safety group now elite with the addition of Talanoa Hufanga? We're going to break down the entire positional group and kind of rank them amongst, who's the guys that we project to make the team? How do we rank up against other safety groups in terms of, across other defenses in the NFL? And this should almost complete the State of the Union positional group series that we've been working on the channel. So guys, if you love Denver sports, Broncos, Avs, Nuggets, we don't include Rockies here, consider liking and subscribing, man, and let's get right to it. How about that? All right, so as we know, we don't have to write projected starters here. We already know these starters on this football team are Talanoa Hufanga and Brandon Jones. Obviously, Talanoa Hufanga was the one of the prize free agents that we had gotten in the offseason from the San Francisco 49ers. And when healthy, he is one of the more elite, game-changing type of safeties that we haven't really seen here in a long, long time in Broncos country. I mean, since the Darian Stewart and TJ Ward days of us winning Super Bowl 50. And I'm excited to see what it is that he can bring. Now, obviously, we know health is a potential concern here. Good news about it, we've talked about him at length, but good news about him is that his injuries are not really related to each other, and they're not consistently like soft tissue injuries. So that's always a good thing because those are the ones that typically tend to linger. So, I believe that Bo Lowry and this team are going to be able to hopefully keep Talanoa Hufanga healthy, because if they can, the Broncos have Talanoa Hufanga and Brandon Jones as their safety combination. I think it's one of the best in the entire NFL. Ain't no doubt about it. He's a player that just brings a whole bunch of intensity. He's a very hybrid like style safety. The reason I really liked his game, and he was someone that I put on my top 5 free agent wish list well before free agency, was because he's got the ability to excel as a cover safety, as someone that wants to play the typical free safety position, more the center field role. But he also flourishes when he's in the box too, hitting guys, kind of playing as a hybrid linebacker. That versatility is huge for this defense and what it is that they need. And in a weird way, I think what I was pleasantly surprised by how good Brandon Jones played last year, really for the last couple seasons. But he was really, really good for us last year here in Denver because he's got that ability as well. He's got the ability to really, play all over the field. He's very good in coverage. He was making plays. He's very good in the run game, in the box as a tackler. He brings kind of a physical presence as well. And so he needed someone that was more of an upgrade, because what teams were doing, the way that offenses were attacking our safety group or our defense in general, was they would go after the two big weaknesses that we had, right? And that was the middle linebackers, specifically in coverage, obviously, especially after the injuries, but that was a big hole for us regardless. And then PJ Locke, who ended up being opposite of Brandon Jones. Now, I'm someone that really respects PJ Locke, and I actually kind of like him as a player. I thought he was solid. I always root for the undrafted free agent guys, but he was certainly a liability in a lot of different areas, and teams would start to exploit that. And those are the two that they would really, really go after, because Brandon Jones was so solid. Patrick Surtain was so solid, so it eliminated one side of the field, and that's how defenses would go. So by addressing it and getting Talanoa Hufanga, we've really made this defense, which in my opinion, the way that it's currently constructed, has no holes. But Talanoa Hufanga really brings that. He brings that grit. He brings that versatility. He brings the physical play that we're really been missing, here in Denver for a long time. And when he's healthy, he's an all-pro level. In fact, he made the all-pro first team all-pro as recently as 2022. So, like I said, I'm super excited to watch a player like him play, and especially in this Vance Joseph defense that just absolutely flies around. But, what are you getting in Talanoa Hufanga? You're getting somebody who is a very good tackler. His football instincts and his IQ are awesome. I mean, he really is a read and react type of a player. He just gets to the positions where he needs to, and it's gonna be able to help the cornerbacks a lot, because they're gonna have full trust that, hey, if we need to be a little bit more aggressive, I need to bite on some routes, or I need to be able to take a risk in order to make a big play. I know that if ultimately that risk doesn't pay off for the corner, they've got somebody like Talanoa Hufanga on the back end that can clean it up or kind of cover for him. Obviously, that's hence the name safety. You saw that a lot with Brandon Jones last year, and I think that having a really nice kind of combination on the back end is really going to help out this defense a lot, especially given the kind of pass rush that we have and really just a lot of really good things. But one thing that was really interesting to me that I had noticed with Talanoa Hufanga, and I would share the screen here, but it becomes kind of a pain. Actually, let me just go ahead and see if I can do it real quick. Hold on. I do want to show y'all this. So this is going to be something that I think is super interesting in my opinion. There you go. All right, so I'll zoom in here. And this is obviously from 2022, which was his last healthy season when he played all the games all the way into the Super Bowl. But here's what you love to see about him. He lined up 360 snaps in the box, 662 at the free safety position, 129 at slot, 7 at corner, 56 as the D lineman, obviously probably blitzing. So he's lining up everywhere. He's, I would say, what is that, about 30% maybe? How many snaps did he have total? Yeah, like about 25% of his snaps, he was playing in the box. And then about, 70%, 65%, he was playing, as in the free safety. And he also, like I said, played some slot as well. So he's been all over the place. I think that that's something that's really unique with him and something that can be extremely beneficial for this team. Let me make sure I just got this all right here. All right, going back. Boom. So that's kind of what you're going to get with Talanoa Hufanga, and he mixes in very well with someone like a Brandon Jones, right? Brandon Jones, again, last year, I felt really good about the signing. I mean, I know a lot of people love Justin Simmons. I did too. But I was fine with him leaving, not really because of his play. I thought he was still a really good player, but really just because I understood that at some point you just got to part ways with guys where we're eating the rust cap. But anyways, we got this Brandon Jones guy, man. Amazing contract. And boy, oh boy, he was way better than I had thought he was. And if you don't remember, guys, he started off the season injured. He had a hamstring injury. He didn't really play a lot during the preseason at all. The first time we saw him was week 1, really. And he was amazing. He was amazing for the Broncos last year. He really, really was. 3 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. He only allowed 1 touchdown the entire season. Really solid, 10.9% missed tackle rate, which for a safety is actually pretty low. But he's someone that I just loved to see his game overall. And very similarly, he was lined up in the box 297 snaps, and he was as a free safety at 571 snaps. He showed a lot of that versatility too. And so now with being able to have another guy in Talanoa Hufanga opposite of him, it's really just going to round out this defense really, really well, right? So we love that. But getting into some of the depth guys, right? So the addition of Talanoa Hufanga has also significantly helped our depth, because what's happened is now a guy that was starting for us last year in PJ Locke is now a depth piece. He's not somebody that you have to rely upon to be a starter. But what's nice about having that too is, in a pinch, he can come in, he can start for you, and you know what you're going to get. It's not going to be a train wreck. He's overall a pretty solid player, and he's got a lot of really good experience there. And then you've got JL Skinner, who it's been frustrating for him, obviously for the last couple seasons, just with injuries and all that. But he's someone that I loved it when we drafted him out of Boise. I loved the makeup, the size. He's really built like a hybrid linebacker. In fact, JL Skinner is somebody that is bigger than a lot of the linebackers that we have on our team, right? He's at 6'4", 220. And there's some linebackers that are like 6 foot 220 on our roster right now. So I like the size. I know he's a really good special teams player. I don't know if he's ever going to contribute in any way, shape, or form on defense, but he's got the makeup and the build. But we'll see. With the addition of Sam Franklin Jr., who we'll get to, with the addition of Trent Sherfield, those are some, Justice Cernat coming back. Those are some really good special teams players. So we know special teams is going to be good. And as you add more special teams talent, now somebody like JL Skinner, if that's all he does, unless he's the elite of the elite, he could easily be a cut. Delarian Turner-Yell, again, I didn't put the hyphen there, but again, with Delarian Turner-Yell, another elite, I wouldn't say elite, but very, very good special teams player for us. A little bit of a bigger safety. When he played early on in his career, it was a little bit of a train wreck for him. I don't really like to see Delarian Turner-Yell playing much on defense, but he's another key special teams contributor. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with JL Skinner and DTY this year, because like I said, we're deeper now. We got some young guys that are developing, which we'll get into the other guys. And we also added some safeties that can play special teams to be able to replace them, but maybe they're a little bit better in terms of what they can contribute on the defensive side of the ball. One example of that is Sam Franklin Jr. Sam Franklin Jr. is a player that I didn't really know too much about, but he was one of the earlier, free agent signings that we had brought. Well, actually, he was a later free agent signing, but it was earlier in the offseason, before, I think about a week or two before the draft. And when we had signed him, you look at what he does, and he's kind of cut his teeth in the NFL as a special teams player. He did have like a 98-yard pick six, if I remember, playing on defense, but he's mainly going to be a special teamer. But he does have experience playing on defense, quite a bit more than some of the guys that we currently have. So he's going to be the guy that, in my opinion, I think is going to, create the demise of of JL Skinner or Delarrin Turner-Yell, not being on this team this upcoming season, because you're getting somebody that has got experience, really good at special teams. He's going to bring you a little bit more size to that room too. I mean, JL Skinner's a big dude at 6'4", 220, but Delarrin Turner-Yell is a little bit smaller. PJ Locke is a smaller guy. Devin Key, not the biggest dude that there. So Sam Franklin Jr. is 6'3", 210 pounds. As I stated, he's played in the league for a pretty long time, but mainly on special teams total. So that's kind of been the big thing for him. All right. And then Devin Key, man. Devin Key's the other guy that, to be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised. Remember, we talked about Brandon Jones missing a lot of the preseason games yesterday. He was the guy that was like playing in those preseason games, and I was actually really surprised by that. Like it was a pretty clear indicator that he was the backup safety at that point. And he played at times during the year, and I'm totally fine as a Bronco fan, like not having to watch Devin Key play anymore. Didn't really see anything special. Thought he was pretty poor in coverage. Wasn't necessarily the best tackler. Was a little bit late. The only times I was fine seeing him is they would utilize him and JL Skinner a little bit more towards the end of the year, like in the red zone or like in their goal line defense. But yeah, wasn't really very high on Devin Key at all. And so he's going to be in a battle as well. I think obviously the coaching staff saw something in him. I don't know if it was because they kind of liked, his size compared to what it is that we had last year of the guys that were healthy. That could have been a part of it, but it's not like he's an overly big guy. He's, just over 6 foot. So never really understood the Devin Key thing. I'd be fine if he doesn't end up making the team, and I ultimately don't think he will. And then Keon Smith was kind of the Cinderella story of last preseason as well. Him and Lavelle Bailey, they just really shined. They always seem to be around the ball. Keon ultimately made the 53, and then they cut him and they put him on the practice squad most of the year. So he's an interesting player as well. He's, again, just another bigger body guy, but he was undrafted out of Kentucky a couple years ago in 2024. I guess it was just, last year. And played, he played a little bit. He has 3 solo tackles, so he played a little bit last year. But, I think just a few snaps overall. But Keon Smith is definitely another guy to keep your eye out on, right? Anytime somebody pops as an undrafted guy early, makes a team, usually there's a lot of those building blocks. So it could be that kind of an offseason for Keon Smith. But ultimately, what does it say? It just says that right now, the Broncos safety group overall is as solid as it can get, in my opinion. Our starters are phenomenal. I think they could arguably be one of the better, or at least a top 5 safety tandem in the entire NFL in terms of defenses. And our depth is really solid. We have a really good mix of guys that have have experience, that have played, that in a pinch can go in and start a couple games if you need for them to. And then you also got a really good mix of a lot of guys that are very good at special teams. They're very good special teams players, and that's always extremely important when you're talking about roster building. You're talking about who's going to end up ultimately making the 53. Special teams is usually what decides like the final 7 to 8 spots on a team usually. And so it's going to be an interesting battle to see what ends up going on with the safety group. But overall, I would give this a very, very, very solid B plus. I really don't think how you can get that much better at the safety position. Obviously, considering injuries are not going to be a factor, right? With Talanoa Hufanga and with Brandon Jones. I love it, man. I'd love to know what you guys think about the safety room. Finally, we don't have to worry or consider the position group anymore. Like I feel like we have for several years in the past of always, who you're going to add. And I really like the way that the Broncos went about doing it in the free agent market with some guys that are on contracts that are not very expensive, but they have crazy, crazy upside and have performed very, very well at times. So let me know what y'all think below, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm getting a migraine. Neck's kind of starting to hurt. So thanks for bearing with me. And till the next video, man. Go Broncos. Peace out.